Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to our episode. On this episode, we're going to look at the topic of Medicaid and get a closer look at the confusions. We will also look at how Medicaid started, what is being funded, who for, and the problems that go around this issue. Now you might be thinking, how boring? What does this have to do with me? Well, the answer is quite a lot. Medicaid is a program that allows people who normally cannot afford health care to have access to it. You might be thinking that this is a waste of money and that we should not be spending money on this. Well, let me explain the idea behind it. Imagine you are a person with a cut. As time passes by, it starts to heal, but it still hurts. A person who has access to health care could go to a doctor and find out that the cut is infected, but the person who does not have access to health care would wait for the pain to worsen and the infection would spread. I ask you one question. Which is cheaper? A, the antibiotic normally prescribed to people when they go to the doctor right when the cut hurts. B, the hospitalization of someone due to them not having access to health care. If you guessed A, then you are correct. The concept of government-funded health care for the poor was supported by President Truman in 1945. This idea was thrown around by Congress for 20 years until President Johnson signed it into law in July 1965. One bill created Medicare and Medicaid, two health care programs that are sometimes difficult to distinguish at the same time. 700 Medicaid's eligibility requirements are strict. You basically have to prove that you are poor. Fun fact, the government uses the poverty line to determine that. The requirements are so difficult due to each program being run by each state. Here are some examples by state. 18 states allow coverage if you make 100% or slightly above the federal poverty line. 17 states require you make 50% to 99% of the poverty line, while the rest are 50% or below. This might not make a lot of sense to you, and you're probably asking, so? The poverty line isn't that bad. The poverty line of a family of four is $23,850, which isn't a lot with taxes, school, food, running water, and other utilities that you may have to pay. Medicaid is supposed to help people get coverage for less, but the requirements tend to target only the very poor, meaning that people who need health care but do not meet the requirements are out of luck. Now let's listen to a conversation between a Republican and a Democrat. Dude, Medicaid is such a waste.
Are you sure about that? It helps a lot of people out there in need of health care.
I mean, wouldn't it be a great idea if programs like Medicaid would be given less money so we can get out of this debt?
The thing is, that idea would make getting health care even harder for people.
But this needs to get done to get out of debt. It is just debt piled onto more. The only thing that can make this idea any better is to get rid of Obamacare. The bill is nothing but unnecessary spending.
Obamacare is meant to give people more access to health care. If you repeal this bill, you basically get rid of the idea of affordable health care for all.
This law just makes people not want to work because they don't have to buy as much stuff. If people buy more stuff, then the economy grows. Duh.
If people are healthier, then the government will have a better workforce and will not have to pay for the debt created from people when they can't afford the expensive operations that comes with waiting till the last moment to go to the doctor because they do not have health care. This program seems to help the government save money, but that's just in my opinion.
$772 billion federal dollars were spent in 2013. This money was spent on Medicare, Medicaid, and the CHIP program, which surprisingly enough was only 23% of the total federal spending that year. That is 11% of your tax dollars going to a program that is supposed to help impoverished people. If I were you, I would want to know what kind of things were being covered. It will be your money when you pay taxes, and it is important to know what it is spent on and if you are okay with that. I'm Colin Flynn, and the more you know.